almost everyone, including my friends in the press who have reported on it, haven't read the indictment. They've only taken the government's sensational narrative of what the accusations are as truth. They haven't sought facts of the allegations. I'm innocent, and I intend to prove my innocence. Not just for me, but for the precedent this case will set for you and future members of the Senate. I am, however, alarmed that the greatest and most ardent defenders of the Constitution in this body are among the most vociferous in calling for my resignation. They would deny me due process and undermine the fundamental principle of our law that in America, you are innocent until proven otherwise by a jury of your peers. Now, members of the Senate are not above the law, though they are not beneath it either. If for political expediency an indictment and its accusations are now tantamount to guilt, we have upended our system of justice in America. And when the next person or group of persons are wrongfully accused, you will not be able to claim that the constitutional guarantees of due process and innocence and proven guilty need to be observed. Now, some say that a U.S. Senator answers to a higher standard. But even then, the question of whether that standard has been violated depends not on accusations, but proof of guilt after being afforded due process beyond a reasonable doubt. Finally, let me say that I understand how the government's accusations, made in the most sensational and purposely damning way possible, its misuse of the grand jury system to bring superseding indictments, even though it had all the information they alleged from the beginning, can be a source of concern and contempt by some of my colleagues, the political establishment, and most importantly, the people of New Jersey. I get it. And I am suffering greatly as a result of what they have done. After 50 years of public service, this is not how I wanted to celebrate my Golden Jubilee. But I have never violated the public trust. I have been a patriot for and of my country. Now, let me close by saying I understand some of my colleagues are in tough races, and for them this was a political calculation. Let me also say that for the administration, the political establishment, and for my detractors, it would be much easier to have me exit the scene so that an unjust deal in immigration that won't really solve our problems at the border, but that would hurt the Latino community, would be easier to be achieved, or that a new deal with Iran would be more possible, or cozying up to the Castro regime could take place, or selling F-16s to Turkey could be finalized. I get it. But I will not step aside and allow those things to happen in the name of political expediency. I have never chosen the easy path. Never have, never will, and will not do so now. I simply ask for justice to be allowed to work its way. With that, Mr. President, I yield the floor and observe the absence of a quorum.
Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Baldwin.
That was Senator Robert Menendez speaking on the Senate floor, saying he's being persecuted as he faces new bribery charges. He's facing a superseding indictment for allegedly making positive comments about Qatar in exchange for items of value, including luxury wristwatches. He was previously charged with conspiring to act as an agent of Egypt and other alleged offenses and has pleaded not guilty to all the prior charges. Now he's scheduled to stand trial in May and refusing to resign. Executive editorial producer John Santucci joins me now, along with senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky and ABC's Jay O'Brien on Capitol Hill for more. John, this is the first time that we're hearing from Senator Menendez since this superseding indictment. What stands out to you from his remarks?
I mean, as Aaron just walked in, the fact that it happened, I mean, the fact that he's speaking about this, because, you know, listen, we've gotten familiar with the word superseding indictment from the summer of Donald Trump. Menendez has had 2 superseding indictments. The charges are getting extremely heavy against him and his wife and these other businessmen. So what this all involves is a failure to register as a foreign agent and accept bribery from 2 countries. The main focus here being Egypt and Qatar. And you remember those images of what came out of Bob Menendez's closet at his home, the cash that was shoved in, the gold bars, these watches that allegedly he was given by the Qataris. This is all piling onto him while almost half of his Democratic colleagues in the United States Senate have called on him to resign. Cory Booker, who co-serves with him for the United States Senate in New Jersey, has called on him to resign, as has the governor of New Jersey. But the fact to see Menendez standing there today saying, I never did this, I didn't take anything or accept bribery, this is all a persecution, not a prosecution. Those were his words just now on the Senate floor. It's striking because we saw right before the holidays, Aaron, I think it was what, like December 28th, right before the new year, that the judge actually rejected the argument by Bob Menendez's team to delay this trial to later in the year. As of now, this is all slated to go, Diane, in May, right in the midst of the election.
Aaron, how serious are these charges, and what's at stake for Menendez?
They're quite serious. They carry the possibility of prison time. And I was struck by Menendez saying reporters who are covering this haven't read the indictment. I beg his pardon.
Yes.
You have. And we're not just taking the government's word. They've laid out some pretty serious accusations of pay-to-play dealing and using his influence on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, not for the benefit of the United States, but for the benefit of other countries. He also says that he plans to offer an explanation. Well, let's hear it.
Right.
Because he's had a press conference after the charges. Now he's spoken on the Senate floor saying there's an easy explanation for why wads of cash were stuffed into his congressional jacket and why there were gold bars, and his wife was researching how much a gold bar is worth. Well, I'm ready for the explanation. And that's, so we'll take him at his word that, assuming this does go to trial in May as scheduled, that he does plan to offer a defense, no doubt. But we'll be interested in what it is.
Yeah.
Jay, Menendez has refused to step down amid all of this. Now that he's given this official response there on the floor, what are you hearing from lawmakers about his defiance and what he's saying today?
Well, firstly, I too beg the senator's pardon, because he also said that there were reporters on Capitol Hill and in other places who were not interested in hearing his side of the story and instead were only turning to the government for their allegations. I have to beg his pardon as well, because we have interview requests in with the senator that at least my emails have not been responded to, and they are dating months back. The senator's official response, though, that you just mentioned, Diane, it's part of a series of responses that he's had. He had a press conference after the first indictment was unsealed, and then there was that superseding indictment that alleged that he worked as an agent of the Egyptian government, and then that second superseding indictment just days ago that alleged he worked as well as an agent of the Qatari government. And what Senator Menendez's response has been essentially is that the government is mischaracterizing his official work, because remember, he was chair of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, which is the committee here in the Senate that governs U.S. foreign relations with other countries like Egypt and like Qatar. And the senator said that any relationship he had with Egypt, he characterized it as adversarial. And he said he was calling out Egyptian leaders like the Egyptian president on their human rights abuses, and not saying that, of course, or rather not working in tandem with the Egyptian government. That is the exact opposite picture of what federal authorities paint, including saying that he, as John noted, connected a New Jersey businessman with the Qatari government to try to get money from a fund run by Qatari officials. Additionally, they allege that he ghost wrote a letter that was sent around to senators to try to unfreeze U.S. foreign aid for Egypt. The senator, again, says a lot of that action was official senatorial work, but to Aaron's point, he has never once, and this is something that his colleagues point out to your question, Diane, he has never once mentioned or answered where these gifts came from, where this money came from, and why he obtained it, which is the backbone, as Aaron pointed, of federal prosecutors' case here.
Right, he seems to be trying to address other parts of this, but not necessarily the crux of what's in these indictments. So, Aaron, what's the next step, or steps for that matter, in this investigation? At
some point, Senator Menendez will have to come back to Lower Manhattan to be arraigned on the latest superseding indictment, which didn't add charges, but did add more allegations and brought the alleged illegality up into 2023. Before, it was in prior years. Maybe the senator could say, okay, the conduct stopped. But now federal prosecutors are alleging that all of this quid pro quo gifting was taking place all the way up into 2023, even after perhaps he was charged with crimes initially. So the senator will have to answer, undoubtedly plead not guilty to the new superseding indictment, and then he is scheduled to stand trial in May.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.